Good morning. It's Mel Bodie again. So it's day 35 in this compassionate response to COVID-19. And so just outline a little bit what we're doing this week. So we've had 4 days on friendship, different aspects of friendship. So I talked about the Buddha and his... I talked about the life story of the Buddha about 4 or 5 days ago, and then about the importance of friendship in the Buddhist tradition, and about his friendship with Ananda, who was his lifelong attendant, his cousin, lifelong attendant. Then we had a session on spiritual friendship, which is Kalyana Mitrata, so in the ancient Indian, and so what we went into there was the fact that friendship is not just about kind of hanging out with your mates, but it has this dimension which is about help. Well, it's a kind of vertical dimension where you see qualities in your friend that you think, oh, I'd like to be like that actually, and so you want to emulate them, and so the whole thing of having a guru is like this. It's like we see somebody who we want to, who embodies qualities that we want to, we'd like to have, and things like that. So yeah, often the way that things get transmitted in spiritual traditions is that it's through somebody embodying something rather than talking about it and not embodying it. It's like they really embody it. And then we had a session on making friends, and in that session we explored the idea that friendship isn't just something that's passive, that it just happens to you. We kind of wait for somebody to ring us up or whatever it is, but it's more active, and something that we're best thinking about, something that we need to keep bringing into being. And then day 4 this week, we looked at friendship and society, so the effect of the culture that we're living in and has on our ability to have society, to have friendship, to have because sometimes our jobs and our roles and the way that we're expected to be can get in the way of just be. So friendship needs time. It needs, in fact, kindness needs time. They found, they did some experiments where they took these trainee Christian priests and gave them they talked to them about the Good Samaritan, and then that was the theme of the seminar, and then they staged this experiment whereby they asked them to go to this particular place, and on the way they staged this guy who was like looking really bad, on the street, and some of them they made them rush, and the others they let them just go at their own pace. So the ones who didn't have to rush did more compassion towards the homeless guy, and the ones who had to rush tended to rush past, and even though they'd just been studying about the Good Samaritan, they'd forgotten all about it because they were rushing. So like friendship, kindness, that sort of thing, all needs conditions, like we need to give it space. And then yesterday I started to look into the 3 types of unconditional love, part 1. So I started to look into the 3 types of love that the Greeks identified. Eros. So eros is like the type of love which can be the love for a partner, love for a romantic love, that sort of thing. But it can also be in a way, eros is a bit like you have this feeling of lack of something, lacking something, and then the object of your love kind of fills that kind of that missing part, you know. But it can be, eros can also be something that where you have a desire for more meaning in life or something like that, for wisdom. So, you know, you want that, you want to fill that gap. Yeah, so the eros, and then there's philia, which is a kind of the sort of sharing and kind of hanging out, that, you know, like that you have in normal friendship. And then yeah, just sharing, that sort of sense, sharing your life. And then you've got agape, which is the hi Jai Devi. Agape is the more transcendental kind of love, which is associated with religion and altruism and things like that, you know. So it's a bit like more a kind of exalted ideal for that manifests in most religions of, you know, exchanging self for other and that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's what we've been doing this week, and so I've got another 2 sessions on unconditional love. I thought I'd give it enough time, just like I gave mindfulness quite a lot of time. But yeah, before we go into that, we'll do some body work to start with. So yesterday I sent an email to a local Manchester website, which is little bit like Time Out, you know. It's in London. It's kind of what's on in Manchester. So I'm hoping to try and attract some more people to these Facebook Live sessions, but also to what we've got on YouTube, you know, so the more people kind of benefit from the sessions. So it might be that more people are joining and they've not been kind of in the flow of things here with everybody else. So yeah, so I'll just sort of say a little bit about what we tend to do. So with meditation, it's not all that helpful often to just sit down and meditate without having done something or other to bring some vitality into our body and also relaxation into our body, so that, because we're always meditating with a body, you know, within the context of having a body. We never don't have a body, so we have to give it enough attention, give it due attention, and look after it. So pretty much every session we do here, we start off with some body work and then move into the meditation, which then is a lot easier once we've done that. So if you want to all stand up, we'll do some body work. So I have to tune into myself and think, well, you know, I'm just trying to exemplify something here. So I think, well, what do I actually need at the moment? And so my general feeling is, energy-wise in my body, is that I've got a slight feeling of like kind of sinking energy, just from having gone out yesterday and been in the sun, and, you know, maybe you know, I was doing things kind of till late-ish in the night, so I need to take that into account now with this. So what do I need? So I need some kind of upwelling energy in my spine and my back. You know, that would really help. So if we do some gentle swinging from side to side, and just having a sense of my spine, your spines, just being as vertical as you can. So just concentrating on that you know your spine keeps vertical while you're doing the swinging from side to side. Just have a sense of when you go to one side that you rotate your heel is the thing that you're rotating on. So it's like as you rotate away from one direction, that heel is the pivot, and then you notice as you turn away from the centre that you get a stretch coming round. So it's allowing that each time you swing round that the natural stretching happens. So with that stretching, we're going to end up with we're going to open up the pathway for energy to flow in the body. Energy that will flow in our meditation practice. So, in Buddhism, you know, the central figure in Buddhism is the Buddha, and the Buddha was a human being who managed to overcome the problem of old age, sickness, and death. So he didn't. You know, he got to the point where he could accept all the truths about life. Really, you know, the fact that we get old, we often get sick, and we die. So he wouldn't have any kind of expectations that things would just go a certain way. However, whichever way things went would be kind of accepted by him. So this is quite an exalted state that took lots and lots of work to get into. But there is a stage on the way to enlightenment, which is kind of, you could think of as like being halfway there. And at that point, it's something called stream entry. So it's like with stream entry, the practitioner, has done a lot of work on themselves, and then it's almost like the image is that they step into this stream and then let the current take them. So it's like they kind of let life, in a way, be as it is, and they start learning from that. So, and the stream entrant has a quality of not going through the motions. So the reason I'm mentioning this is that when we do body work, it's quite easy to kind of go through the motions. We go, let's do this for a little bit and then get it out of the way. But like everything in Buddhism and spiritual practice, there's a reason for it, you know. So we need to kind of tune into the actual reason why we're doing this. So the reason here is that if we don't do it, then our energy is quite stodgy, or can be quite stodgy, and then, you know, our energy in our body, and then when we sit down to meditate, the energy in our mind and emotions is equally stodgy. So, and then we just can't really get anywhere with anything. But if we can do this enough, you know, this body work before meditating enough, then, you know, we've set up good conditions for something to happen in meditation. So, yeah. but not a lot, not not a massive number of Buddhists in that Sri Ratna tradition kind of really taken on notice of this sort of thing, really. So just circling with your hips, and try to keep your mind and body together, and go to one side and then to the front and then to the other side and then forward and then to one side, to the other side. Kind of deliberate movements, so your mind and your body are in the same place, not one's not ahead of the other. And then shake everything out, hands and feet. Just allow your mind to be a bit lazy. Doesn't need to be paying that much attention here. We're just doing something with our body. In fact, it's better if the mind isn't involved, because it'll be wanting to have some control of what's happening. Yeah, give yourself your arms a good shake out. So you could just make this up, at home when you're meditating. Just make something up that actually works for you. Different part, working with different parts of your body that need some attention. And then just put your cradle your forehead in the palms of your hands. And just let your mind quieten down. Just let your mind enjoy being held in your hands. And just having a sense of being turning yourself away from the world. So it's like you don't need to be expressing anything to the world with your face, or looking at anything, or saying anything to the world with your voice. You don't need to be expressing anything to the world with your body. Just having a sense of going into a little bit of a fetal position here, where you're just giving yourself a break from all the responsiveness that you do normally to things in life. And then give your face a little bit of a wash with your hands. And just massage your temples. And check everything out. And then just put your hands on just below your navel, below your belly button. and just waiting for your mind to calm down a bit. And then just bend your knees as you breathe out, and straighten your knees as you breathe in. Bend your knees as you breathe out, straighten your knees as you breathe in. So you're going down on the out breath and coming up on the in breath. And then just bringing your hands up to your chin on the in breath and then down on the out breath. And up, turning at the hips, coming up on the in breath, down on the out breath. Coming up on the in breath, and then down on the out breath. Coming up on the in breath, and then down on the out breath. And then next time, just keep going past your chin, up into the air, out to the sides, up the middle again. Okay, and then taking a seat. So before we meditate, I think I just want to say something a little bit about motivation and things. So I mean, whenever we're doing anything, even things that we're sort of quite inspired about, it's like our feeling for it will just change, over time. So sometimes we will feel like, oh, why am I doing this? Or and like doing these daily sessions. Sometimes, well, like today, I feel a little bit like that. Why am I doing this? And maybe you felt a little bit like this in terms of sticking to the guidelines of social distancing. It was a really hot day yesterday in England, and there were lots of people out in the park and down by the river and everything, and it can just feel like, what? Oh, do I have to? Do I have to really, get up and do this session, or do I have to sort of like just keep being aware of, distancing myself from others and all that? And it's just tiring. It could just be tiring, But this is completely all right, and this is about being human. So I don't know what to do about the volume being too low. This is about being human, and whatever we're doing, it's like our motivation, our inspiration isn't sort of something that's just like there as a sort of a stable kind of benchmark's the wrong word. Stable sort of background thing that we just access that's permanent, that we just can access all the time. So it's like anything. Motivation arises in dependence on conditions. So we, sometimes we have to kind of like dig underneath and just kind of try and remember what our motivation is. And I've spent I started writing a book in 2003 on ritual, and I thought it would, take a few years or something. And then after 2 years, I switched over to talking about mindfulness, and then I thought that would be fairly straightforward, but it didn't. It didn't turn out to be straightforward. So what the Buddhist tradition was saying about mindfulness and the Satipatthana Sutta, I didn't quite. I thought there must be more. This doesn't make sense. There must be more than this. So I had it was really long. This since then, I'm still kind of trying to bring my book out into the world this year, but since then I've just been kind of trying to unearth what's the truth about how do what things work, and I shared this in the session on the Buddha's teaching on mindfulness. So the topic of today's Unconditional Love Part 2, and I thought that, well, actually the thing that kept me going all that time, and there was no funding for writing that book, I've just been doing it, was basically love. It's like I wanted people to have a better understanding of mindfulness, and I thought if I can't make sense of this, and what people can tend to do is go through the motions, and pretend that they understand how things work. I think that happens a lot in spiritual traditions. People go, "Oh yeah, I know what, I know what this is, yeah." So it can be a bit of a challenge to for us to sort of be honest about what we know and what we don't know. I've done this project, which has taken 16 and a half years so far, out of a sense of care and love for people. And that has come out of, in a way, it's come out of my ordination into Triratna Buddhist order. I think I'll just kind of go into that a bit first. So when in the Buddhist tradition that I belong to, people go off into when they ask to become ordained, and then there's a whole training. Set up, going on retreats, and you have to be invited to get ordained. So it's not easy. It can be a bit of an ordeal for people. And I'll just say briefly about what happened with me. So this is Guyaloca. This is a valley in Spain where the men in the movement get ordained. So the women in the movement get ordained in a different place in Spain. And when I went on my ordination retreat, which was like 4 months long, I think everybody's ordination retreat can be quite different. And so on mine, I didn't feel all that inspired at the beginning. Or the first half of it, I thought, who are all these people? I didn't I didn't have that natural sense of philia, which is like a sense of shared the love that is like just hanging out. The people on the retreat wouldn't be the people I would naturally kind of hang out with, But then what happened was in the middle of the retreat, where the bit where you get ordained, you're in silence, and so this is Kamalashila. So Kamalashila was one of our foremost meditation teachers, and he set up Vajraloka Retreat Centre in Wales. So Kamalashila came, he was going to ordain me, and he so when Kamalashila turned up, I started to feel like, oh right, oh, okay, great. So we've got a relationship, and I thought, yeah, I can. And he reminded me of various things. And then the second half of the retreat, what you do is you study a text called the Bodhicharyavatara, which is the main sort of altruistic text in Mahayana Buddhism, which is all about kind of training as a bodhisattva. Where it's altruism taken to the nth degree. So you join the order on the ordination retreat. So here's a bunch of order members, and the guy there in that shirt, that's Amoghavamsa, and I think of him as a bodhisattva really, because he's just this genial kind of guy who he went to Sheffield, and there's a point where there's about 3 of them in Sheffield. There's a tiny little group in Sheffield. Just through the power of his like love for people and his friendliness and just normality, he's a train spotter. He's you name it, things like that. But he just charmed people into wanting to be part of the order in Sheffield. So now I think there's about, I don't know how many, there's about 50 order members in Sheffield. They've got a converted church that they use they've got a massive Buddhist centre, which is a former church that they've completely converted and made into a really beautiful space, aesthetic space. And they have like 80 to 100 people on meditation courses, which is a huge number. So Amoghavamsa is an example of a bodhisattva, I think, in real life. So when on the second part of my ordination retreat, the second half of it, I really connected with the bodhisattva ideal, and I thought, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. Help lots of people, and my name is it along those lines. So Maha means great, and Bodhi means enlightenment. So it's a bit like great enlightenment. It's associated with Mahayana Buddhism, and it means, I suppose, like for me, means lots of people, lots of helping lots of people. So I'm wanting to help lots of people. Hence, doing these sessions and writing my book and that sort of thing. But I need my sources of inspiration, and on my ordination retreat, I had a picture of this guy, Dilgo Khyentse Rimpoche, on a little booklet in front of me with the word kindness written on it, and it was because I just thought he just looks like such an amazingly kind bloke, quite a big guy who often need to be helped along, helped along by attendants and stuff. But he just exudes this feeling of like love for people, and for me that wasn't something I kind of had in that sort of warmth in a certain sort of way. I thought I need to kind of develop this. I need to become warmer myself, Yeah, so I'm just giving you some pictures there to look at, and also it's to help me as well to connect with the theme and with my own motivation. So having connected with it, having shown those pictures, I now feel a little bit more ready to lead a meditation, and then after that to talk about metta, about unconditional love in the Buddhist tradition. So what we're going to do now is to meditate, and we're going to do the loving kindness meditation again, which is appropriate to the theme. So I'm making up this structure, I seem to be making up the structure as I go along here, but actually sometimes that's what you need to do, to be alive to what needs to happen in your life. So in the metabhavna means cultivation of universal loving kindness. What we're doing is we're working on our emotion. We're looking at our emotion that exists towards ourselves and towards others. And we're trying to cultivate a greater sense of care, of kindness towards ourselves and towards others. So what I want you to do is to just try and connect with your heart area. And maybe using an image. So using an image like, just imagine that your heart is opening up towards yourself. Maybe you might imagine that that there's something like a lotus flower or something like that in your heart, and it's just gradually opening up. So as you give yourself some space in the meditation, give yourself some time. Just having a sense of relaxing in the chest area, quietening down. And just dropping in a phrase, may I be well. Looking for some sort of response that's in line with that, that's an opening. Thinking of people we know who are quite kind. Trying to sense what it is that they do when they're doing that, when they're being kind. Sometimes it can just be them just giving their attention wholeheartedly to us, bearing us in mind. May I be well. keeping your face quiet and relaxed. Staying relaxed in your hands and your feet. Softening in your body. If some other kind of feeling or emotion comes in that's not in line with this, giving yourself space, don't give it any attention. Just come back to the theme of the meditation, opening up your heart to yourself. Wishing yourself well. Thinking of that kind person that you know, what they like, how they are. Can you emulate them in some way? Copy their behaviour. Now in the second stage, bringing to mind a good friend, somebody that we're not sexually attracted to, or somebody's alive, so that we just keep it simple, roughly the same age. So having a sense of opening up our heart area to our friend. Remembering the story of the students and the Good Samaritan, giving our friend enough time. Softening in the body, opening in the heart. May they be well. So imagine maybe a lotus flower opening in our heart, which represents this spaciousness that we're giving to our friend and to the meditation. Just being with our friend, accepting the being, the reality of our friend, just as they are. Complete acceptance of our friend. Moving our attention down from our head into our heart. Keeping your face soft and relaxed. Soft body, soft mind. Open heart. So in the third stage, Metta Bhavana, we allow the friend to fade and we replace them by what we call a neutral person, somebody who maybe drives the bus or works in the supermarket. Who we don't feel strongly one way or another about. They're just neutral. And just imagine that we're opening our heart to that person. Modelling our kind person, how would they be with that person? And just imagining ourselves doing the same sort of thing with that person. May they be well. awareness of the being of that person. May they be well. In the fourth stage, we allow the neutral person to fade and bring to mind somebody that we don't find easy, or we find difficult. So is there a way in which we can actually allow this person into our consciousness, give them some space, having a sense of softening in the body, softening in the heart, opening the heart. So the thing that we find difficult about them is just one part of the whole of what they are. So, we can also try and be aware of other things about them. The fact that they have hopes and fears. They don't want to suffer. Opening our heart to this person as well. May they be well. So staying soft in the body. Staying relaxed. Letting them in. sense that we can be big-hearted. Or maybe, again, just thinking of the person who we think is good in this area. How would they be with this person? Finally, in the last stage of Metabhavana, bringing to mind all 4 people that you've used. Having a sense of opening up your heart to all 4 at the same time. And then extending this opening to the people here in this meditation group, and those who maybe watch it later in the day. Opening your heart to all these people. May they be well. And including people who live in and around you. Just creating the space for allowing in the being of these other people. You don't have to do anything, you just have to just let them in. They're part of reality as well as us. Let them in as people. And then broadening out even more to the people who live in your particular town or location. Staying soft, remembering how the kind person would act with these people. And just gradually extending out into the world of all beings everywhere. May they all be well. So just to finish, I want you to imagine that the person that you brought in, the kind person that you want to emulate, if you manage to do that, is speaking, and this is what they're saying. So they're saying some verses from the Bodhicharyavatara, the altruistic text in Buddhism, that you want to, having a sense that you want to be like that, to have these sentiments as well. Or at least allowing this as a possibility. May the merit gained in my acting thus go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. May I be medicine for the sick. May I be their physician and their nurse until sickness is no more. May I destroy the torments of hunger and thirst with rains and food and drink, and in the aeons when there is no food, may I myself be food and water. May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor and destitute. May I be their servant and give them all that they need. My personality throughout my existences, my possessions, and my merit in all three ways, I give up without regard to myself, for the benefit of all beings. Nirvana is the giving up of all, and it is nirvana my heart yearns for. If I am to give up everything, then let me give it to beings. Let me give my body to them, to do with as they wish, to strike, abuse. Let them play with it, laugh at it. I've given my body to them. Why should I care what they do with it? Let them do what they like, whatever brings them pleasure. But let them suffer no misfortune because of me. Let them hate me. Let them love me. But whatever they're feeling for me, let it bring about all that they desire. Let them wrong me. Let them mock me. Let them accuse me falsely, but let them share in enlightenment. I would be a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who wander, a boat, a bridge, a causeway, for those who long for the other shore. For all beings I would be a lamp for those needing a lamp, a bed for those needing a bed, a slave for those desiring a slave. For all beings I would be a wish-fulfilling gem, an inexhaustible vase, a magic spell, a wishing tree, a cow of plenty. Just as the earth and other elements are serviceable in many ways to the infinite number of beings inhabiting limitless space, so may I become that which maintains all beings, situated throughout space, so long as all have not attained to peace. As the Buddhas of ancient times grasped this Bodhi heart and followed resolutely the practice of the Bodhisattva path, so shall I awaken this precious heart for the welfare of the world, and I too shall follow that path in all its fullness, and like a wise person who joyfully seizes that Bodhi heart, I shall rejoice, so that it will grow and thrive in me. Today my birth has borne fruit, and my humanity has been fulfilled. Today I am reborn in the Buddha family, and I am now a son or daughter of the Buddha. And now I must live up to my birth, and by my actions must place no stain upon that spotless family. Just as a blind man may find, by chance, a priceless jewel in a heap of refuse, so, somehow, this Bodhi spirit is hidden, even in me. It is the elixir of life which destroys death, the destroyer of all, a limitless treasure to destroy all poverty, the supreme cure for the world's sickness. It is a tree of rest for the wearied world wandering on the road of being. It is a bridge for all travellers passing over the waters of suffering. It is the heart's waxing moon, cooling the heat of passion. It is a great sun, dispelling the darkness of the world's ignorance. It is fresh butter, churned from the milk of the true Dharma, for the caravan of famished beings blundering on the road of existence. It is a banquet of joy, which refreshes completely all who hunger for happiness. Today I invite the world to Buddhahood and to all the happiness of the Dharma. May gods, titans, and all rejoice. Thank you.